What is up, people on the internet? JQL here, back for another video. Today's video, I'm doing a different kind of video I've never done before. I'm going to do a tutorial video. And, yeah, you're probably thinking, whoa, what came up over the, why are you making a tutorial? Well, that's because a bunch of people actually asked me how I made the Godspeed mask I made for my custom minifigure, as you see before you. So, yeah, real quick, I just want to say it's not my design. I didn't come up with it. Blink Brick Customs came up with it. I'll leave a link to his Instagram and his channel, although he doesn't really post much on his channel nowadays. But, yeah, I'll leave those links in the description below. And, yeah. So, real quick, I just want to say I'm going to go over not just the mask, but I'm going to go over the entire figure in general. So, I'm making an entire figure in one video type of thing. And yeah, this is going to take a while to film. But anyway, so yeah, that's pretty much it for the intro of this video. So let's just get into the materials and what you need to make this figure. Alright, sorry for the odd position, but yeah, first of all, I'm just going to say what you need first. First of all, you're going to need for the mask, you're going to need a Ultron drone helmet. Now, unfortunately, the Age of Ultron sets are now discontinued, so you can't really get these anymore, but you can always find them on Brickleak, I think. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for the mask. This is all you really need, except for the lightning bolts. You can use any material you want for the lightning bolts. But onto the body, you can use any head. I just chose a white head I just happen to have. And, yeah. And then you also need a blank set of white arms and a torso. And also, you need a blank set of white legs, too. So, yeah. And I also recommend using gold hands. On my figure, I actually used a white hands, and I painted it gold. The problem with painting on hands is that they tend to chip. The paint tends to chip off easily. So I decided for this figure you can just use gold hands. However, if you want to, you can always use white hands and then paint it on if you want. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So I'm gonna assemble this body real quick. I'm gonna actually do it off screen. I just want to say before I move on any further, all the painting I'm doing, it's gonna be off the camera because I can't paint with a camera in front of my face. So yeah, and yeah. So I'm sorry if you guys wanted to see me paint, but I just can't do it because you know the angles. But anyway, so this is basically what your minifigure should look like at the moment. Now, what you're gonna need is like sculpting material to sculpt the front shape of the mask. So if I remove my Godspeed head that I already made, you can see that I sculpted that entire thing using a Ultron drone helmet. So what material did I use? I used air dry clay. It's this white clay. I don't know the brand of it, but it's just white air dry clay, which actually works very well with this character since, you know, he's white. So yeah, so that actually works out. The problem with using it is that it doesn't stick on automatically, so you have to use super glue. I used gel super glue to keep it in place. So yeah, what else? What else do you need? Oh yeah, you also need some kind of material to make the lightning bolts you see on the side of his head. And the material I actually used, if I grab it real quick, I used index cards. So they're not the most efficient thing to use, but they do work, and if you can find anything else, I highly recommend you use that. Anything that works. So index cards, they work. However, you know, I use several layers of glue to make it like stiff almost. And yeah, so real quick, before I go over the materials, I just want to say this figure overall really wasn't that hard to make. I guess the only hard part was patience and the sculpting the mask. So yeah, I guess we can just move on to the painting, the paints you need. So it doesn't matter what paint you use. These paints are just paint I happen to use. So this is the white paint. You're gonna need white paint. I know white paint sucks to work with, and it's really difficult to work with, but this is the kind I used. I used satin acrylic paint from Craftsmart, and it works like any other white paint, really bad. But if you put water in it and then shake it up, then it actually it gets a little better. You're easier to work with, to say the least. But you're still gonna have like chunks. You can see on my Godspeed, there's a lot of chunks there that are uneven. So that's the bad part about using white paint. You can use any other white paint. It really doesn't matter because they're all really tough to work with, unless it's metallic white paint, like with Ross did on his Deadshot figure. And yeah, Another type of paint you're gonna need black paint, and you're probably like, why do I need black paint? Well, that's because if you want to make the figure pop, you always want to outline the details, and also you need it anyway for the muscle detail you see on the torso. So yeah, so just adding outlines makes it pop a lot, and I'll show you a technique to do paint outlines a lot easier later on in the video. So yeah, you're gonna need black paint. This is the same brand as the white paint. And I didn't use this folk art for this figure. I actually used Craftsmart metallic paints. I don't have the paint bottle on me currently, but yeah, so this is, any kind of gold paint works. This one works perfectly fine. I actually used it on the lightning bolts you see here, and the rest was just Craftsmart paint. Actually, the eyes were also painted in gold, this gold paint. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the paints. Now, what do I use to paint? I use brushes. However, toothpicks are perfectly fine too. I actually use toothpicks a lot to paint in smaller details, and like some other customizers do. I mainly use brushes though, so yeah. So that's pretty much it for the materials, and now we can just get on to the figure, making the figure. I'm going to start off bit by bit. I'm going to start off painting the torso and the legs, and then sculpt the mask last. So yeah, let's just get into this tutorial. One thing that makes painting a lot easier is if you disassemble all the parts, so that way it's easier to paint. And also another thing that's also helpful is if you have say you have a piece like this, and then you have sorry, some cylinder pieces where you can put on pieces to let them dry. It's just way better to do it this way, so that's what I do when making figures. So anyway, let's just start off with the torso. The torso, as you can see, based off mine, it really depends what figure you're making. If you like, it's kind of hard to explain, but if you're making this different kind of figure, there's gonna be a different kind of process, to say the least. So I'm just going over how to make Godspeed. So obviously, if you look at reference pictures, Godspeed has a lot of gold or yellow details all around him. So let's just get started with the torso. The torso, as you can see here, on mine, I painted a lightning bolt right there in the middle. And how I did the outlines is I painted a coat of black first, and then I painted gold over it. Now, it's a lot easier if you do that way than just painting the gold and then outlining the black afterwards. Because if you do that, then you're probably going to mess up, unless you're really skilled. But that's just easier for me, at least. So that's what I do when I want to outline something. Unless you're really confident with your skills, then be my guest. But yeah, so real quick, I'm just going to paint on the lightning bolt. Alright, I am back, and after a while, I finally painted the torso. You can see if I grab my Godspeed figure, put it up there. It's pretty identical match. It's like, as you can see, it's still drying, and it's also still black. But you know, once I paint the gold over it, it will look a lot better and a lot more accurate. But yeah, onto the legs. Now, for a figure like Godspeed, since he doesn't have a lot of detail in the legs, you can just keep it together as one piece. But if you want it to be easier to paint and a little more symmetrical, then actually, if you want it more symmetrical, then keep it like this. But keep all the pieces together. But if you want it to be a lot easier, take off the legs and stick them on parts like this and let them dry when you're painting. And another thing I forgot to mention is that when you're painting anything in general, so when, say, on the back, if I put too much black paint in one area, and it's, like, not symmetrical to this other part of the back piece, then I can just use a toothpick or whatever and scrape off that little bit of paint. For white body parts, it doesn't work as well, because, you know, black and white don't mix, and, you know, there's still leftover paint still there. However, if you wait for it to fully dry and then scrape it off, it's a lot better and works out a lot easier for you. So yeah, I'm going to quickly paint up the legs, and I'm also going to do the arms. So real quick, I'm going to go over the arms. So what you want a rod piece, and you want, I just use this to paint my arms. So I just stick usually I have a different color hands on it, but, you know, in this case, I'm just going to use the gold hand. So I stick it on this piece and then just paint all around it. And it's way easier than just holding the arm with your hands, because then, like, when it's time to dry, then you have nowhere else to put it. You have to kind of be gentle with it. And yeah, so that's really difficult. However, with a character like Godspeed, there's a little bit of arm detail, but not a lot. So yeah, I'm just gonna real quick paint up the arms and the legs, and then show you them, and then move on to the mask. Alright, so you're gonna want to take your clay and your base, which is the head and helmet, and basically just sculpt around the entire head, so that way you can get a general idea of how much clay you're gonna need. And yeah. So now that you've put it on or sculpted around the entire head, you can pretty much just shape in the front a little bit, you know, the nose part of the mask. And this is probably the most difficult part of the process. And what really helps is using a nail filer to file it down. Alright, now for the lightning bolts. Like I said earlier, I use index cards. Basically, I just draw the shape onto the index card of anything I want to glue on, and then I grab my super glue, and then just glue it on. Pretty simple, just like that. Alright, so now we have the finished product. You have your Godspeed minifigure. If you, like, I know I skipped the parts where I painted in the gold, and I also skipped the leg segment, but yeah, I'm really proud of this second version. Clearly the first version is better, which is why I don't sell my minifigures, because repetitive painting is not my thing. I only do it if it's necessary. And yeah, so that's pretty much it for Godspeed. Alright, so now that you've created your Godspeed mask and the body, and yeah, so that's pretty much it for this tutorial video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you found this tutorial helpful, then give it a thumbs up. I know it's not the best tutorial video ever, considering the fact I couldn't really show you my painting on screen or sculpting. It's just a little too difficult. But yeah, so that's pretty much it for this video. If you guys liked it, then give this video a like, and also subscribe to my channel if you have not already. Leave a comment down below if you want me to make more tutorial videos in the future. And let me know what I can improve upon, just because, you know, I know this is my first tutorial video, so could be better. So yeah. So anyway, that's pretty much it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video, whatever video that'll be, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.